Welcome back, Powerful Mind. How are you guys doing today? I've missed you so much since last time, baby. And we are back and we are better than ever. And today, where are we, guys? We're about to find out. Today, I am actually working with Brad Hannon. He actually owns Signature Medicare Solutions. That's where I'm employed at. And we also work closely with his podcast, Sarasota Speax. So let's go check everything out. Excited to be here today and interview you and kind of show off everything that you've built. It's been a long journey. How long has the journey been for building up Signature Medicare Solutions?
Well, it hasn't been a long journey actually for Signature Medicare Solutions. It's been just shy of 3 years, but it's that 10-year overnight success story that you hear about. Like, there was about a decade of insurance experience before this. So what you're about to see is kind of really phase 3 of my insurance career, but everything leading up to it is what obviously brought me here. So
perfect. And then we're going to definitely dive deeper into that. That was just a little taste for now. So let's go ahead and check out and see what we got going on. Alrighty, guys, here she is in all her glory, Signature Medicare Solutions. So kind of for now, right. So kind of explain a little bit of, you said it's been kind of the phases in the journey. So what do you feel like was some of your first phases? And I'm just interested to see how you like break that down and categorize that.
Well, first of all, the background noise you hear is like the sound of music to me. So just deal with it for now. The sound will be better in the studio, but the background noise is beautiful because that means agents are making money, and that's what we love. So the journey really started, in 1099 commission-based sales.
Right.
I actually moved to Sarasota from Orlando. I lived in Orlando for like 3 years, born and raised in Sarasota, but moved back to Sarasota. Didn't know what I was going to do, and my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, said, "You should sell insurance." I said, "Hell no," like most people would to selling insurance at first. And then I met a lot of like-minded individuals at a company Christmas party. And I just had that kind of quintessential moment where I thought, if they can do it, I can do it. They were making great money. They seemed like they were enjoying what they were doing. And I thought, why not me? That's really where it started.
Okay, and then so what was phase 2?
So phase 2 was after things didn't go so well with that company, had some ups and downs. I had a lot of success. I was top 10 in the company. I was really top of that specific agency. And things didn't work out long term, so I started another agency. That was a similar model, 1099 commission-based sales.
Okay.
I built that team up, and then I really made some great relationships in the industry, started really connecting with other agency owners, and I saw that they were providing something that I wasn't really able to because of the model that I was in. So they were providing, inbound leads or leads for their agents. They were providing, a base. They were providing training, and they had much lower turnover. So I started to kind of dream and believe that may be a better model for me down the road. But I didn't have the money, didn't have the know-how, didn't have the experience. And so I ran hard for a couple of years to get where I needed to be in order to make this opportunity happen, because it wasn't cheap to start this agency, and
absolutely.
It took a lot of hard work, took a lot of groundwork before really being able to do this. And we started small. We started with 7 agents, so it wasn't like I hired 60 out of the gate. We're
now look at this.
Yeah, we're just under 3 years in. We are pushing 70 agents. We have a goal to get to 150 agents this year.
Yeah.
So if you're watching this, insurance maybe doesn't sound exciting, but I promise you it can be. Amaya has proven that as well. So I think the bottom line is, like, along the way, I didn't always know this is what I was going to do, but I was working as hard as I could to make sure that I was doing the things I needed to do to be prepared for whatever opportunity came my way next. And then this kind of happened.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're definitely going to explore that more, because I want to hear more about your failures and how you didn't let that stop you, because obviously you didn't. And that's a big thing. A lot of people do take failures and they do allow it to kind of stop them and hinder them. So I'm kind of curious how you did get over those hurdles and everything. But to kind of talk about the investment, how you had mentioned how it is a bigger investment in the front end, how important is it to invest in yourself and believe in yourself enough to not only monetarily invest, but invest in other ways?
I mean, there's probably nothing more important, and I've said this at least 3, maybe 4 times, maybe this is the 4th time I've said this just today. I believe that you should have 3 levels of relationships in your life to really reach your potential and be continuing to reach your potential. And you need to have somebody that's mentoring you, somebody you're mentoring, and then somebody that's at a peer level that you can, have a lateral discussion with that's facing similar issues. And for me, unless I had people that I was mentoring, like unless I had a reason that was bigger than just myself to invest in myself, I never really fully felt like I was tapping into my full potential. So it took me trying to get to a place where I had something of value to give to others before I really started, succeeding, I guess I would say.
Okay, that's a very interesting take. Yeah, I kind of also relate to that too, where I don't know how to explain it. It's almost like you have other people that kind of rely on you. Other people motivate me more than sometimes myself, honestly. So that I completely relate to you that. We'll leave these agents alone now and let them do their calls. But we do want to show you, because we're about to transition into this epic podcast studio for Sarasota Speax. So let's go check that out.
All right, let's do it.
And here we are. This is our awesome Sarasota Speax podcast studio that Brad actually really generously.
Today it's the Powerful Mind studio.
Yeah, allows Powerful Mind to go ahead and use. And it's a really dope studio. And a lot of time and effort and love has gone into it, and you could tell, and it really shows. And how versatile, first of all, how smart you are to make this a versatile studio, not just Sarasota Speax, so that you can, allow other podcasts to come in. So that's awesome. So I just want to praise you for that, first of all.
Well, I can't take all the credit there because the design for the studio is really Edub, our producer.
Shout out Edub.
And the editor, the producer, the sponsorship coordinator, the, guest scheduler, the notes creator,
right.
He does a lot, so can't take all the credit, or any of the credit, really. It's Edub.
Okay, good. Shout out Edub. I think the first episode that we did in here too, that was one of the first things I did was also shout out Edub. So we show much love to everybody involved. I actually have a couple of gifts here for you.
Snap, let's go.
We're pretending like he didn't see them on the chair by accident.
I only had a glimpse of the hat, but I didn't see everything.
Right.
So we're good.
So we'll start with the hat. So because you wear hats all the time and quite often. So this is actually a Drink Happy Panda hat. So this is Happy Panda, which is a tequila seltzer company. I'm a creative director
and
for.
it matches my fit right now,
Yeah,
so that's perfect.
You see that?
I'll wear it right now. Gotta resize it, but
right.
I love it.
Yeah, sorry. I was gonna say I didn't even wear that one. I was gonna say mine was that's a new one.
It's not a hand-me-down.
Imagine.
Looks good.
Yeah, no, I think they're really fire hats. But that's actually the company I creative direct for. Happy Panda, they're coming out soon. But I don't even wear hats all that often, but I love this hat, and you wear hats often. I was like, this guy's gonna love this one.
Thank you.
And then the next gift is finally your own Powerful Mind shirt.
And this one's sweet too.
And it's actually SMS colors.
It is close,
it is SMS colors.
Trust the process.
Basically, yeah. Trust the process, and then it just has a little logo on the back.
And this is like a toddler screaming at a butterfly or something?
Right, yeah, exactly. How did you know that?
She's trusting the process.
Exactly. Maybe she watched the butterfly come out of its canoe.
I'll definitely wear that.
Did I say canoe? Come out of the canoe?
Whatever.
What? Is it a cocoon?
Cocoon, yeah.
What is it?
Not a canoe.
Okay. Anyways, it's close enough. So I kind of want to backtrack really quickly to when you talked about your failures, because that's really interesting to me, because it's very easy to see everything you have going on and just be like, wow, that guy's lucky or got it made. But it's no, like you said, it's literally 10 years. You said it's 10 years in the works.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, of you doing everything. So my question to you is, what was a significant, in your eyes, or what felt like a larger failure to you? And how did you overcome that and not let it stumble you?
Well, I mean, I didn't overcome it initially. I failed, right? Because it failed forward, right? Whatever you want to say. But really for me, it was my ego. And I'm okay with admitting that at a young age, when I was first experiencing some success, it went to my head pretty quickly, and I was the best, and nobody could do it like me, and I bit off more than I could chew too soon, too fast, that type of mentality. But that same mentality also brought me to where I am today. So I think it just came with a certain level of maturity. I had to reach a certain level of maturity to where I realized, this isn't about me. This isn't about, how great I am. Neither is this podcast. None of this stuff is really about me being in the spotlight, but more so me trying to use the talents and gifts that I have. One of those gifts is a severe case of ADHD, and that allows me to work on many different things at the same time, and not always to completion, of course, but like using my unique abilities to build something special. And I didn't know what that was. I just knew that I was capable, and the right opportunity came along, and now here we are. So, I look at the past failures as just opportunities to learn. I've rebuilt now 3 times, like as far as like been at a new high and then experienced a low pretty shortly after, and then reached a new high and then experienced a new low shortly after. And then, every time those highs were a little bit higher. And throughout the, I guess, volatility, I learned to be more steady and to be more cautious and to move more methodically and strategically. And so, all of those things that I failed at, or all of those things that didn't work out, were because I was moving too fast. I was ego driven. I wasn't using the right things as motivation or fuel. And so over time that's changed. And I think, having kids, having a family, all of that stuff has obviously helped, but ultimately you learn really fast through failure. And so I believe fail fast and fail forward. Right. So that's what we've done.
I think that's one of the most honest answers I've gotten to that question before. And that's actually really incredible for you to actually, it's like a self-reflection.
Yep.
I feel like is one of the most important tools to anybody, to realize like how can you realize what you're doing wrong and how you can get better just as a human in general, but also like you said, when it comes to your actual career, the actual things you're trying to do, if you don't stop and take a moment to reflect. So that's awesome. That's character development.
There you go.
That's great. So that's really cool. And then, so when you're talking about your high and your lows, do you feel like the higher the highs were for you, did the lows be lower, or were you starting to kind of level out there?
Well, it's funny because the first time, just to give you kind of like the numbers of what it was, like I had just made, at that time, a few $100,000, and essentially saved very little of that money, and it didn't invest much of that money, didn't do anything real great with that money besides spend it, and so I ended up with a huge tax bill and very little money to actually cover the taxes that I owed on it, and I had just kind of left or been terminated really from that first opportunity. Again, ego. It was a great learning experience. Take a lot away from it, but I had built up a great income and then went back to zero. Was a little unsure at that time if I could do it again.
That's
and
crazy.
Then I did it again,
tough.
and I did it again, and I did it better. And so, it really, that second time really
changed in your brain, your mindset about it, the way you thought about things.
It just took away almost all fear of failure, right? So at that point in time, I realized, hey, if I go back to zero again, I'll do it better the next time. If I go back to zero again, I'll do it better the next time. And so, it's worked out well. And I spent a long time, preaching that message of like, hey, I started from zero and built it back up, and I started from zero and I built it back up. And while I think that's so important, I think there's so much more to be learned in the journey, that from, middle of the road, like middle of your success chart, if you will, to that, through that steady growth. I think there's a lot more lessons learned and a lot more value attained through that slow and steady growth and, trusting the process, right? Trusting the process. A good one. So, and that's been the biggest differentiator from what this agency, what I bring to this agency versus what I've done in the past.
Right. That's awesome. And then so for people who do kind of have that fear of failure, because that's actually a really good point, because a lot of people do have that. What is one piece of advice that you think that you would give someone who is kind of feeling that anxiety about the fear of failures?
It's so tough to really answer that without like having some specifics, because some people have that fear of failure because they're supporting a family, and the answer to that question is very different than somebody that has the fear of failure because they're afraid of putting themselves out there on social media, or they're afraid to pick up the phone and make that first sales call, or whatever the case is. But the one kind of thread that runs between all of them that's similar is that you're not by sitting back and letting that fear kind of paralyze you to not do anything, you're always going to be stuck there. So one foot in front of the other, and taking that first initial step, and then the next step after that, the next step after that, and it begins to get easier and easier as you go. Right. So I would just say, use that fear as motivation to get your butt moving. That's that's the bottom line. But specifically, if somebody was afraid of failure because they weren't going to make enough income, or weren't going to succeed at it, or no one's going to watch the content, or whatever that case is, you're not doing it for the right reasons, right? If
very true.
Maybe you need to look at what you're intending or wanting to do and reevaluate if that's truly what is driving you, because something that is deeply rooted in you that will drive you will not allow you to sit still in the fear of failure. Like you will have to be moved into some sort of action if you truly are passionate about it, or have that deep rooted conviction about it.
Right. Yeah. That's really cool. And then so does that kind of apply to kind of because you've always done videos, I noticed. You've always done some sort of content, some sort of creation in that aspect as well. So you definitely, obviously, very much so do have your own creative side and mindset to that as well. No creative side?
Not really.
Not really? You just make EW to come up with ideas?
Generally, I mean, EW can give you the backstory, but yeah, generally speaking, like, that was one of the more uncomfortable times in my life when I was doing that, because it wasn't something that, sure, somebody could say like, oh, you sound great on camera, or you have a way with words, or whatever. But I didn't love it. I didn't enjoy it.
Okay.
And again, talking about that fear of failure, and kind of, if it drives you enough, if it's motivating enough, it will move you into some phase of action. That's what it was. It was like, hey, I've got to provide for my family. I've got to build this up, this new agency that I'm starting. And one of the best ways that there seems to be is to, be omnipresent and be putting content out there, and be building community, and be, just not afraid to put yourself out there. And so when I first started doing content was with EW, and I said, bro, here's the deal. Like, I've tried to do this on my own. Yeah. It's terrible. And if we do this together, I want to trust that you are putting out a quality product, but you're not having to run that through me, because I don't want to watch myself on video. I don't want to play it back. Like, if you think it's good to post, let's post it. And so hiring some help definitely was a motivating factor. But it really, like, again, there's so much to learn from getting uncomfortable and getting outside of your comfort zone, that I would just, you don't have to do it for a means to an end. You don't have to do it to get to a result, but putting yourself out there is always going to benefit you by making you uncomfortable, and that uncomfortability is what causes growth. So. Right.
No, absolutely. Is that where that poll came from?
Which one?
When's the last time you put out the poll? When's the last time that you've been uncomfortable or done something that made you uncomfortable?
Yeah. So in our company Slack channel, like our company communication, I posted a poll about when is the last time anybody's been uncomfortable, and really, that is part of it. But one of the things on my heart this year in a major way is to really focus on leadership development. And I believe that leaders are not born. They're built and created, and anybody has leadership potential. They just have to tap into that. And so one of the things that I really want to focus on this year is, building leaders within this company and this organization, not just for the organization, but for their community, for our community in general. And I think I show that through like the support of things like this,
absolutely.
I want people to pursue their goals. I want people to be fulfilled. I want people to, really feel like, when they're coming to work with us, like we're going to be a great, vehicle to help them reach or achieve their goals, whether or not they're passionate about insurance or Medicare. It's just not something that you hear that saying, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. I just don't believe that. I think majority of people that adopt that mindset wind up broke, but loving what they do. They love what they do, but they hate the income they're making from it. Or they love what they do, but they can't support their family on it. And so I think do what you're good at, do what you're talented at, do what your natural gift set is allowing you to do, and do it to your fullest capacity, and will lead to fulfillment. So with insurance, it's like recruiting agents love to do because it gives them an opportunity. Training agents love to do because it helps them reach that next level. And that's what motivates and excites me. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning. So that poll was really just all about leadership development and some of the things I have on my mind for this year.
Yeah, that's exciting. And you really do show that, and like you said, in things like supporting Powerful Mind, which super appreciate, like through and through. Like he was our actual event that we did, our first event that we did last September, Sarasota Speax, Signature Medicare Solution, was our main sponsor. We were powered by them because...
And gave you the day off, too. We were working that day.
Yeah, we were. Yeah.
You were working on your other job.
You're right. But no, so from the very beginning, you've always showed extra support for it. And that's awesome because, like you said, like a lot of places don't do that. Like a lot of bosses are like, okay, tough luck,
Yeah.
But I feel like you just have, like you said, that's just that mentality and mindset. And it's also interesting what you say about like, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. It's interesting that you say that because I understand what you're saying, and I feel the same about it because, you definitely don't want to be broke doing what you love. Like, that sucks. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's for me, it's definitely, I want to continue to, I want to be smart about it because I do eventually one day want to be able to have my full income coming from Powerful Mind, but that takes a lot of time. That takes a lot of work. That takes a lot of money to even do because you have to spend money to make money. You have to invest into it. So that is like a long-term thing. So it's like being smart and strategic about it, and so how did your content with EW in the very beginning, when you were doing just kind of, it was just more so like videos of you talking and doing and explaining, first of all, entrepreneurship, because you speak a lot about that, which is awesome. And then also about the actual insurance field. How did that kind of transition into the podcast, into Sarasota Speax?
Remind me, I want to tell the brief story of my first company that I ever owned. We'll get to that, but because you just said something that triggered that in my mind, but that specific transition, I mean, it was a traditional like fake it till you make it, right? Like I had done really well selling insurance. I knew that I could train agents. How could I expand my reach beyond just my team and potentially use that value proposition for recruiting and to motivate individuals to want to work with me. And you end up you ultimately will work with people that like and trust. And how do you get people that you don't know to know, like, and trust you? Well, you've got to put yourself out there. So it truly was, in my mind at that time, like a business decision, like, hey, I need to do this to put myself out there to again help with recruiting and things like that. And also, like, I'm not ashamed to admit, we talked about ego before. Well, my ego has been taken completely out of it. So like, I'm not ashamed to admit, like, there was a lot of other people doing it at the time that were doing really well. And I thought, again, going back to the reason I got into insurance in the first place is like, if they're doing it, why can't I? Right? If they're doing it, I can do it too. And I've always sort of had that mentality of like, if somebody else is doing it and it's not like Elon Musk, like I can probably do what they're doing. So I just thought at that time I was really the only person doing under 65 the way that I was doing it at the level that I was doing it and doing the content at the same time.
Okay.
And so I just needed to differentiate myself and put myself out there.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And then so kind of give like a history on Sarasota Speax. Like how long has it been around?
So
is this a first studio for it or?
Yeah, so we actually, our first studio was in the old office. It was just that little tiny conference room, little table, some decorations. Eric has always done really well with like taking a small, inexpensive space and turning it into something that, you know, looks like a studio on camera.
Right.
This one is a real studio. The first times we were doing content was like, it was just the corner, you know, so we had the decoration behind us and we were always shooting on that angle. So like it looked, you know, it was at my desk, I could make calls and train and, you know, all of that stuff. So with the transition into Sarasota Speax really happened because I was starting this local agency and a good friend of mine and co-host Trey approached me and said, hey, we want to do a podcast. We love, you're doing a lot of content, you know, obviously you have some editing experience or help. And I said, yeah, I do. I don't have any editing experience, but I do have great help.
I'm glad you think that though.
And at that time I was really like, I was taking what I was doing and my goal that year was to really establish more locally because what I was doing content wise was on like a national scale and I was recruiting remote agents from anywhere essentially. Yeah. And I wanted to transition that from, you know, nationwide to like, hey, let's focus on my own backyard. I'm born and raised in Sarasota. I love my community. It takes moving away for a little while to realize like, okay, really love this place and really want to give back to the place that, you know, raised me essentially, cultivated me. Yeah. So, so when he approached me about potentially doing a podcast, I said, well, I'm kind of taking a break right now from the typical content that I do. And we're really trying to like figure out, I'm trying to find my content identity where like I'm talking about starting this business and things, but again, it's not really relevant local. So like I'm in, let's do it.
Right.
And through just starting, we realized, hey, you know what? We want to shine the spotlight on local business owners who are doing, you know, great things in our community, local philanthropists, local politicians, you know, anybody that's doing great things in our community. We don't do like hit pieces. We're not, we're not bringing drama on the podcast. We everything is very positive and very, you know, very much to the benefit of the small business or, you know, charity or whatever organization we're representing on the podcast. And it just, it really satisfied my goal for that year of getting more involved in the local community and opening doors and meeting great people.
Yeah, that's awesome. And congrats to you too, because Sarasota Speax is doing so good. I love seeing Sarasota Speax, and I feel like every week I feel like you guys are collaborating with this new business, or you know, having these, like you said, all different kinds of people and really shedding a light on them, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I kind of understand what you mean by that because of what I do here, you know, shining light on you right now. I want to remind you about the story about your first company.
Yeah, that is, so, you know, when I was like 18, 19 years old, I worked for a moving company, and it was like right out of high school. I worked for a moving company, kind of started like on the weekends. At that time I was working at like Smoothie King, making $7 an hour, right? Crushing
awesome.
it.
Yeah.
Got free smoothies and really got to just chill a lot. So that was, it was different, but
it was good. For the
it was
time.
like a high school
it was
job,
a different time.
you know?
Yeah, it was a different
and
time.
then I started working for this moving company on the weekends. Then he started asking me to work more. And then I ended up being full time. But I was like, you know, maybe one of 3 employees at the time and the newest employee. Well, I worked for that company for, I don't know, it must have been, you know, a year and a half. And at the time, the owner was moving to Louisiana. The owner was getting out of the business, moving to Louisiana to go to law school. And like I said, there was 2 other employees that had been there longer and that were really like almost in a way, one of them was like kind of my manager. He was the one that drove the truck. He was the one that, you know, kind of called the shots. And I was approached by that boss of mine, who now is a great friend, but I was approached by him. Hey, I want to sell you the truck. I want to sell you the equipment.
Wow,
I want to, you start your business. I'll pass you the referrals, and you have all the relationships, you know, for basically a loan on a bar napkin that was worth, That was a lot less than what the truck was probably even worth and the equipment.
Yeah.
And so he took a chance on me. Now, obviously in that point in time, I was very grateful and, you know, almost a little surprised too, but still had a big ego at 18, 19 years old too. So I was like, I'm going to crush this.
Yeah.
Well, I ended up running it kind of right in the ground after about a year and a half. Didn't know what I was doing, made great money. And it was my first real shot at entrepreneurship. But fast forward full circle to must have been like a month ago. I actually sat down with that guy and I saw him out. We grabbed a drink and I was like, listen, you know, I can never thank you enough for what you did, because it was really a starting point for all the things that I've done since. Yeah. And you know, I'm very grateful, but I got to know what was it at that time? Because I wasn't polished. I wasn't, I wasn't the sharpest tool. I wasn't, I was hardworking. I think I had a good attitude. I think I was dependable. I was good at talking to customers. And so all of those things, but like, why me? Why did you do that? And he shared with me that he saw something in me that, you know, is very intangible. He's like, you just had something that, you know, nobody else did, that I think is very hard to find in people at such a young age. You showed a maturity level. And so like that is deeply ingrained in me to, you know, to give that same level of positive reinforcement and, you know, planting those seeds that I think can grow down the road, because this is, I mean, this is literally 15, 16 years ago, and it's still a very impactful time from my past. So if I could just be like him and plant some seeds like that grow, and over time I see you succeed, or I see some of the other agents, you know, succeeding in what they're doing beyond just Medicare, that truly is inspirational and motivating. It's, again, what gets me out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's so awesome. We were kind of talking about that too, where I do kind of feel like when you kind of have other people that, like you said, you want to boost up, it really does also help you as well, and be like, I got to be on it because I want to be on it for these other people too, you know? So that's really cool. So now that we talked about like the past and where you've come from and how this is all developed, and where we're at right now, what does your future look like for you? Like what are some of your goals that you have, some things that you're kind of working towards that you can obviously disclose?
Yeah, I mean, I'm generally speaking a pretty open book. I mean, started this company with the goal to sell it at some point in time. I mean, there's no real specific timeline on it, but one of the things I had mentioned earlier about kind of getting involved in the insurance community and making great friends with people who now consider, you know, great mentors of mine. They built agencies, and they some of them sold their agencies and did really well. And really the skill set involved in that was the same as what I was doing, but the model was different. And so the value wasn't there with the other models that I was running, whereas this model, the value is there. And so that's what made me transition into something where I felt like I could build something with enterprise value, sell it at some point in time, use that capital to then really pursue more passions and more, really like my goal is to be able to run, you know, 20, 30 companies from a spreadsheet, dealing with sophisticated operators and be, you know, generally speaking, like a world-class CEO and investor. I mean, that's ultimately what I want to do. But like everything else I've done in my past, it's like I wasn't formally educated through college about business and things like that. So everything that I kind of pull from in the day-to-day is really past experiences. And so at some point, if I have ownership in 20, 30 companies and, you know, I'm a partner in helping these guys, you know, build and scale their companies, I have had to done it myself. I believe that fully. And so this is the goal, is to scale, successfully navigate, you know, business and entrepreneurship, and have a multiple seven-figure exit, and at that point in time, use those funds to stay in business and play the game. You know, I do view a lot of this. I mean, of course, it is my living, and I do have a wife and two kids, beautiful wife, two beautiful kids, and you know, I have to play it a little bit safer than I used to, but But I do view this as in a lot of ways, a game, and we're just playing the game of life and the game of business.
Yeah, literally the real game of life.
High stakes.
Right. And how do you balance all of that? Having, like you said, you have your family and also this business and Sarasota Speax and everything. How do you balance all of those at once?
Yeah, I mean, I believe balance is a bit of a lie. I don't think that balance is like, if you look at a scale, right? And there's one thing on this side and there's one thing on this side, there's really a invisible line between them that's separating the two. And I don't believe that business and your personal life are completely separate. I don't believe that your hobbies and business need to be completely separate. I believe they can all be I believe that they can all be intertwined together, and especially like incorporating your kids in what you do. I mean, my son is, we read Think and Grow Rich for kids. It's a Napoleon Hill book. It's just dumbed down, I guess,
right.
For lack of a better term.
It's for literal children.
Yeah, it's for kids. But we close your eyes. What does your life look like in 5 years? What are your teachers? How do your teachers feel about you? How do your friends feel about you? Cool. What sports are you playing? How well are you playing those sports? And he's straight A's. I'm kind and I'm nice. I've scored 50 goals, like whatever,
awesome.
Whatever the case is. And then how do we get there? So, incorporating my kids in business and bringing them to the office occasionally. But one of my non-negotiables is, like, I've always said, I'll be there when they go to bed or before they go to bed, and I'll be there when they wake up. And so in between those hours and outside those hours is when they get the rest done. But I'm always home, to put the kids to bed. I'm always home in the morning when the kids wake up, and they go to school, I go to work. After they go to bed, a lot of times I'll go to work. It's not really about balance. It's about just doing your best in all of the categories that you can.
Figuring it out. Just getting it all done. Yeah, that's incredible. And I do look up to you in a lot of different ways. For one of those things, because I kind of told you a little bit earlier, I'm like, I feel like I'm doing so much right now. Wait till I have a family. But also in just like your mindsets and everything that you talked about here today. I think you have a lot of interesting takes too that are kind of, like you said, I think they're kind of outside the norm of what people usually talk about. Like you said, balance, you don't really believe in that, which after you explain it, makes a lot of sense. Because I kind of look at it as that too. I don't necessarily look at it as like a balancing scale.
I understand the expression, because it's like you can't be a workaholic and disregard your family. You can't be all family and disregard your work. You know what I mean? So like, I understand the expression where it comes from, but I think the view of there being a personal life and a work life, or hobbies and your work life, like it can all be really, it can all coincide together, coexist.
Your life.
Correct.
Yeah. So I think your mindsets and a lot of those different things that you say, and even like a lot of your videos, I've watched a lot of your past videos and you speaking at these different.
Not great.
You say it's a lot of growth. And you speaking at a lot of like conferences and everything. So I think you've shed a lot of gems here as well. So I think one of the last things I want to ask you is, to young entrepreneurs, what, just like a piece of advice that you think has helped you when you were first a young entrepreneur?
I wish I had like a piece of advice that somebody gave me that I just held on to and it's just got me through. But the reality is, it's been a lot of great people and it's been a lot of great advice and it's been a culmination of all of those things. But as far as like young entrepreneurs or young motivated individuals that are striving towards success, the one thing that I would want to share is that, easy come, easy go, right? There's a million different get rich quick things out there right now. Right. There's a lot of coaches and people who have not done but are teaching, or coaching, or there's a lot of comparison on the internet. It's very easy to get into social media and feel like you're behind, right? And there's these YouTubers that are making this money, and there's these used to be TikTokers. Hopefully they're coming back or whatever. But like, the point is like, we live in a culture where, it's not cool to grind anymore. And I just don't like, I do believe that, one in every 100,000 or so people has a great opportunity to monetize their YouTube channel and make millions and millions of dollars through it. But like, not everyone's going to do that. And you've got to really, I mean, you've got to grind. And so my hat's off to you for like, one, wanting to do the things you're doing, but using our company as a vehicle to help get you there. And that's really what it's for. I've never once, and I've been in insurance for 10 years, but I've never once felt like I will be in insurance forever on only insurance. It's always been like, insurance is the greatest vehicle of all time to get me to where I want to be. Absolutely. And that is a world-class CEO and investor. And so, you know, the advice that I would give is, don't be afraid of the grind. You know, don't believe the passive income baloney, lie. It's not. Like, there really isn't such thing as passive income. Sure, you can have investments. Sure, you can have, you know, passive income through real estate. You can have, but like, all of these things still come with work. They come with a need for capital to start, and you're not going to get that capital through not showing up to work and not grinding. And so I just would pull away from a little bit this culture of like, stop trading your time for money. Like, no, trade your time for money, and then start to pull back some of your time and start to trade some of your money for money. And, you know, it's created a lot more successful people than, you know, these passive income scams. Absolutely. Or some of them aren't scams, but these passive income things and these, you know, get rich quick on my 7-figure course on how to, you know, blueprint for success and so on and so forth. And I'm not knocking all of those people. I know some very great coaches that make a great living from speaking from stage, and, you know, but a lot of them have done it in business or are currently doing it in business while doing that as well. Right.
That makes sense. And that is actually, like, I feel like that advice is actually crazy, because that is very true. Like, that culture is going on right now of, like you said, just, why are you working so hard? You know what I'm saying? Like, I've always believed in work smarter and not harder, but also, like, be smart. You have to work in order to get X, you know, outcome that you're striving for.
If one person's working smarter and not harder, and the other person's working harder and not smarter, and I'm working harder and smarter, like, who's going to win, you know? So I believe in both, and I believe in abundance. I believe that you don't have to be passionate about the product you're selling. You don't have, it needs to be something you believe in. Like, you believe that it works, you believe that it's legitimate, you believe that you're helping people with it. But what I mean is, like, you're not passionate about Medicare Advantage. Like, it's not like you don't like go study summary benefits every day. Like, you probably did for a while to try to be successful and to try to get to where you're at today. But you are passionate about the grind and hopefully a little competitiveness. And we have leaderboards in the office, and we have, you know, bonuses, and we have things that, you know, really will motivate the right person. And they can be passionate about it. Like, they can become passionate about the process that they're in.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Do you have any final thoughts, any questions for me at all?
I have a question. What are we being nominated for again?
We are being nominated for Best Podcast. You're being nominated for Entrepreneur.
Best Local Business Coach or Consultant.
Yes. And then we're being nominated for Best Agency.
Best Insurance Agency, and Best Local Place to Work.
Yes. That was I thought there was 5.
Then Strong Roofing for Best Roofing Company. You know, we love Capopazzo. There's a lot of, you know, partners that we would love for you to show support as well. But the SRQ Magazine contest is going right now, and we are, again, being nominated for those categories. We'll link them below, I think. And we would love to have your support. You're supporting a place that Amaya makes a living through. And, you know, also, while I'm here, I would be remiss if I didn't say we are growing from about 70 agents to 150 agents this year. And we're looking for individuals that mesh with our culture and that want to enjoy where they're working. I mean, I will, again, tip my hat to Amaya. She drives an hour. Some days longer, an hour to the office every day. You know, I think if I asked Amaya whether she would prefer working at home or working in the office, her answer would be, I prefer not to drive an hour both ways, but I much prefer working in the office, because we've got a great culture and we've got a great team, and we're looking to grow that. So I think it wouldn't hurt if some of your friends came and worked here as well.
Yeah, trust me. I've bothered like at least 5 people about it already. So
just show them some of your paychecks.
I did. I literally did. Literally took videos. I'm like, I'm not even kidding.
There you go.
Yeah. So we're working on it. We're working on getting more people in here. But I definitely, you're gonna have everything down below to go ahead and vote. Make sure you go vote, and you can vote. How many times a day?
Every day.
You can vote
once a day.
every day. Okay, every day, once a day. But you can use different emails. So do that every day. It's going to be awesome. A big thank you again to you.
Absolutely.
And also shout out where they can find Signature Medicare Solution on social media, Sarasota Speax on social medias. Go ahead and shout them.
So Signature Medicare Solutions on Instagram and Facebook, Sarasota Speax on YouTube, but Speax is SPAX. So it's Sarasota Speax with an X at the end. And, I will say, if I wasn't on the show and had to watch myself on the podcast, I would watch it too, because the guests are entertaining, but I get to sit right here and learn from these guests. And that's been the most fun part, is like we've had guests on in every category you can imagine, from the arts and music to like, business and entrepreneurship to politics. And I'm always learning something, and I'm genuinely a curious person. So like getting to be across the table and ask the questions is always fun. And it's definitely a selfish endeavor in a lot of ways, because it benefits me a lot from, just like, here's one, right? I learned that Sarasota is the most philanthropic city in the United States per capita, which means we give more money to charity out of Sarasota than any city in the United States per capita, per our population, which is something that I would have never known. But
I did.
We got some great people on that told us that. So.
Right, exactly. There's a learning.
Right.
I actually feel the same way about like a lot of my guests that I have too. Like you're a great example. Like the gems that you just dropped, we're gonna have so many great clips. So go check us out on Instagram @powerfulmind.official. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, check out all the links below. I'll also have their accounts below linked, their channels. So make sure you go follow them, go subscribe to them, comment, like their videos, show them some love for being so amazing and also working with Powerful Mind. And as always, we love you, and we will see you next time, baby. Peace.
That was awesome.